Send them to you.
Welcome to the thrilling world of Security Squawk, where we explore cybersecurity. Guiding you through online threats, we'll aid you in understanding safety protocols and trends. Meet our gurus, Brian from Exact IT, Reginald from Arc Solvers, and Randy from Tech Rescue. Together, we'll delve into current events and hot cybersecurity topics, helping you comprehend their impact. Stay informed, stay secure. Security Squawk, the business of cybersecurity. Buckle up, let's dive in.
What's up, everyone? Good morning. Welcome to the Security Squawk podcast, where we're going to break down the latest, most impactful stories in cybersecurity to keep you and your business one step ahead of these hackers. This week, the digital battlefield, as they call it, is heating up, guys. Major retailers like the Co-op and Marks and Spencer are scrambling after cyber attacks across the pond, which are really wreaking havoc in the UK. A ransomware strike has paralyzed government operations in DuPage County. I think that's in Illinois, you said, Andre, right? Mm-hmm. And healthcare giants are fighting to protect millions of patients' patient records from sophisticated ransomware attacks and data breaches. And we're going to talk about some stories around that. And if you think your industry is safe, think again. These attacks are hitting everywhere, from your local supermarkets to your doctor's offices. I'm Brian. As always, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Randy and Andre. How are you guys?
Good morning. Feeling much better and getting back to work.
Yeah, doing great over here as well, man. It's good to see everybody.
Yeah. So let's jump right into it, gentlemen. We have a busy day today as we're recording two podcasts as we start our AI podcast venture to talk about AI. We'll let everybody know more about that in the coming episodes on Security Squawk, but let's stay focused here on the cyber attacks hitting the UK. And imagine, walking into your neighborhood grocery store only to find shelves empty, not because of a supply chain issue, but because hackers have forced the retailer to shut down key IT systems. And that's the reality for the UK's Co-op, which has just deactivated parts of its infrastructure after a hacking attempt, days after Marks and Spencer was hit by a ransomware attack. With back office operations disrupted and the National Cybersecurity Center now involved, UK retail sector is now on high alert. So, guys, what does this wave of attacks on UK retailers signal about the evolving tactics of these cyber criminals?
Well, first, it's, they're not just coming after American companies. It's happening all over the world. I would say that's kind of the first thing. And obviously, this is a bigger deal because this is like everyday essentials, like funeral home, parlors, the grocery stores, financial services.
And this is a gigantic company. So they have stores with food, rapid home deliveries. They have funeral homes. This is a conglomerate of stuff, and it's affecting several parts of their business. People have been able to work from home, are no longer able to work from home because the remote access is blocked, which says to me they're still trying to figure out how the hackers got in. They're probably thinking the hackers are still in and are doing something in their system, if I had to guess.
Well, but what I don't get is, how do you have a funeral home, financial services, grocery, all under the same umbrella when it comes to the tech? Like, how are you cross-referencing it? Like, why is all that data talking to each other? Like, if you had a financial service company and, you did consulting on one side, advising, trading, I get it. There's synergy there, but those four categories should be like completely separate.
Yeah, there should be segmentation between the companies, and something occurred where it appears that really wasn't the case, or hackers were just able to infiltrate these different systems. We really don't know. More than likely, they were able to just move laterally and get to all these systems. But As we know more and learn more, we will absolutely keep you updated.
You know, we often wonder in the show, we talk out loud about are attacks related? Because if they figure out how to get into one business, maybe there's other businesses in the similar, field who have the same maybe software that they used to pwn the system where they got in. And there's Co-op, which does run a large chain of stores apparently, and then the other group, M&S, which also has stores. And a lot of people are asking, are these two related in any way as far as the attack vector? Some people are saying no, and some people are wondering if it is.
We will definitely keep everyone posted and let you know in a following up segment. And then moving right along, guys, let me just pull up. I totally forgot to pull up the article ahead of time. Give me 1 second.
Well,
we're going to DuPage.
Yeah, this is it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Which one are we going to?
We're going to DuPage, but yeah, I mean, we'll figure out how it's going to play out. It's not going to go well. I mean, at the end of the day, and then we're going to touch on it again when we talk about M&S, because we really didn't talk about it. I guess I'm going to have to subscribe here, guys, because that's what I'm getting up on my screen.
Well, basically with the DuPage County Sheriff's Office, which runs the courthouse, city clerk's office, basically they're down. We see that now they're having issues with court dates. They're having issues with processing inmates. And this is just another example of every week we always talk about a school, a government agency, or hospital that goes there. Here we have another.
Yeah, I finally got it working. I had to shut off my ad blocker because they want to give me ads. Well, I did shut it off, and no, it just keeps coming at me. So
it made me log in.
Yeah, I'm not going to be logging in. So we're just not going to share the screen on this one until I find a different article on it. That is annoying. So as you said, Andre, ransomware loves to hit these local governments. And as we see here, we have DuPage County in Illinois saw its sheriff's office courthouse systems forced offline by a ransomware attack. FBI has been busy lately with all the municipalities getting hit lately. FBI and Secret Service stepped in while in-person court operations are continuing. Digital services are crippled, and the full scope of the attack is unfolding in front of our eyes as we speak. So let's go. I guess it's interesting because, like, we talked about the Texas city that was hit last week, and we know the FBI is involved with that. Real quickly, let's touch on this we talked a few weeks ago, if you remember, about the Trump administration basically pivoting on the cybersecurity strategy and what they were willing to do and what they're not willing to do moving forward. And to sum that up, they're basically saying to organizations, stop coming to us after you get hit with ransomware. Come to us to get help protecting it so it doesn't happen in the first place. Which right. I like that strategy. I like that thought process. So, what are your thoughts on the role federal agencies are playing now, or how they should play in helping these local governments recover from ransomware incidents?
I think the local agencies should go to as a lot of other things, first go to your state. And they shouldn't you can't keep on going to the federal government when you didn't do something right? I don't want to go political with fires and things like that, but nevertheless, I just feel that I think it's a good idea that more pressure needs to be put on the locals government that says, you guys got to make sure that you're doing the right thing and don't come to us crying and asking for money each time you get dinged. And the only way they're going to, the only way the little child is going to learn their lesson is when, the parent comes in with a strong hand. So I like the idea.
I know in Texas they have been hearing, cities have been hearing from up above in the state government, you need to be cyber secure. There's now mandates for the cities to have training for their employees. And so if you're doing IT with a city, you got to make sure that your training's compliant with what the state's requiring. Still so far to go though. And so many of these cities, counties, especially the smaller ones, that have just a handful of people running the whole deal. They're just sitting ducks out there basically. And they all have money. And, even if they can get $50,000 out of them, $50,000 in some countries would mean that the whole team could retire. You know what I mean? So anyway, it's we're still in a precarious situation, I guess is what I'm trying to say, Brian.
Yep, but I like the direction they want to go with this because it is I would like to live in a world where law enforcement people and agencies like the FBI are not wasting their time on stuff like this. But they unfortunately have to because of, kind of the predicament we're in right now, right? So, all right. So are we going to Frederick already? Wow. Let's hope this page comes up, guys. Oh, look at that. It's working. It's working.
Technical issues.
What's that?
Having some technical issues.
It's a little slow this morning. I didn't eat breakfast. I'm not pulling the articles up fast enough, so I apologize. Here we go. Healthcare remains a prime target, as I mentioned at the top of the show, for ransomware gangs. And the latest victim is Frederick Health Medical Group in Maryland, guys. And they had a January attack that we covered here on the show and led to the theft of sensitive data from over just under 934,000 patients, which included Social Security numbers and medical records. The breach forced appointment cancellations, facility closures, and even led to class action lawsuit, which I'm sure there's more to come, over alleged inadequate security practices. So I guess the big question is and maybe we can talk about that as part of this discussion, which is our other topic, but what can these healthcare organizations who seem to be very vulnerable to ransomware, what can they do to better protect themselves from these types of attack and or the patient data that gets stolen as a result of these attacks?
Well, can I throw in a statement and we can go there. I think the CTOs or the IT executives or whoever in these hospitals need to go to the board, go to somebody that'll listen and show them this, because this 934,000 patients, obviously this is a big healthcare group or decent sized healthcare group, but the lawsuits on the back end are going to cost so much more money than it would have cost to be cyber secure up front. And the data that's been leaked is going to give so much ammo to these lawsuits, because we're talking all the data that you need for a bad organization to go into those individual people whose information's been leaked and extort all kinds of money. Like, the old sending them an extra bill thing, that says what they did. This is from the X-ray tech or whatever, or using that to craft phishing emails that are what we call spear phishing. They're targeted towards individual people, written by AI. Like, this whole thing is going to end up costing them exponentially more than it would have cost to be cyber secure on the front end. And, sometimes the boards think in money, even in a nonprofit, they think in money terms, bottom line, because you got to have a positive bottom line to survive. This is a ripe opportunity to help to convince some people in those organizations it's cheaper to do this up front than to pay for it on the back end.
Also, the article mentioned that they're saying that their electronic medical record system was not affected, which is great, right? That's your core system. But think about all of the other, and that's what the everyday employee is using. But when you go to a doctor's office, there's a lot of time the intake forms, the insurance information, the imaging portals. Those items are not part of that necessarily. The ER. It's like, for example, a lot of times we have potential clients that say, "Oh yeah, we save everything on the cloud, right? We use the system." But then when you check their downloads folder, you check their desktop, their documents folder, tons and tons of stuff.
Their email inbox.
Huh?
Yeah.
Their email inbox.
Yeah,
Yep.
their email inbox. Yeah. So it's great that your EMR system, it's got two-form factor and they're protecting it, but everything else around it is apparently what's in trouble here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what Andre is mentioning there is known as PHI leak. And it's just those things that happen as your employees are working from day to day, and they save things and do things and perform work functions and don't really understand how computers work. And they're just doing their job as they were trained.
Yep.
And a lot of times that leads to these situations happening where somebody doesn't consider to look in the places that Andre mentioned for PHI. And really, that's the first step in all this, folks, is identify, right? You got to know where your data is, and you can't assume it's in that safe place that you think it is. You have to bring people in to look for this stuff in other places, so you are completely and 100% confident that you don't have PHI laying in certain places where, if you are breached, somebody could get their hands on it and make your cyber attack 1,000,000 times worse.
Yep.
So, Andre, I'm going to throw this one to you because I didn't realize you were talking about a hospital in the Cayman Islands, but I just read this article myself. You go ahead and you talk about it, and I'll give you my thoughts. But go ahead.
Okay, yeah, sure. So basically, this hospital is giving kudos. So specifically, it's Doctors Hospital thwarted ransomware attack. So this hospital is saying that their IT expert, led by a guy named Patrick Turbide, they were basically giving him prompts, because a lot of times when we're talking about these type of situations, it's always what they should have done, what they could have done, what probably happened. But according to the article, it's saying that, yes, there was a ransomware attack that started, but according to what they're saying that no patient records have been compromised. They gave the guy Patrick a pat on the back, and it's because that all their patient information is securely stored on a non-Microsoft Windows proprietary software, which was not impacted by the attack, which basically means that patient's information was segregated. Doesn't mean that we don't have all this other stuff on desktop and documents, but according to what this is saying, they're saying that because of how their system was set up, they were not able, the ransomware did happen, but patient's information is secure, nothing to see here, and they are back in business.
Thank you, Andre. I appreciate that, and I appreciate your giggle there,
Well,
Randy, because as I was reading the article, I was giggling myself, but go ahead.
Well, no, that's what he said. Nothing to see here. That's like code language on our show. There's nothing to see here right this second, but don't move along too far because something may come out in the future. It almost sounds like it was an attack on their maybe their 365 or something, because they made a point to say in the article that their patient information is all kept in a proprietary system that is separate from everything else. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. The IT director wrote the article. No
doubt. No doubt. Or who knows what's behind it, but we'll keep everyone updated if we learn more. It lacks a lot of detail, in my opinion. And I just really question if it's not just a piece to get out there to make people feel better. But at the end of the day, I mean,
yeah, like
Well,
like from Men in Black, where
this
they
is
said if the average person knew of everything going on, they'd panic.
yeah.
So
This is the extreme of we aren't sure if data was stolen or accessed.
uh-huh.
When they come out and say that in the beginning, right? And then this is the extreme. This is like, hey, we stopped them. Like, they didn't even do anything, and it's like, how did you stop them? And that's clearly not that lack of detail. It makes me kind of wonder what's really going on here. So we'll find out. Moving right along, Ascension. It's not always your own network that puts you at risk here, guys. As we talk about all the time, Ascension Health, one of the largest healthcare systems in the U.S., is notifying patients after a third-party vendor was breached, exposing personal and clinical data. This comes less than a year after Ascension suffered their own ransomware attack, a massive one affecting 5.6 million people, highlighting the ongoing risks of third-party relationships in healthcare cybersecurity. So, geez, guys, not only do you have to worry about your own organization getting hit with ransomware, but you got to worry about what's known as these third-party vendors, relationships, whatever you want to call them. How can these hospitals deal with that? How can they prevent these third-party impacts to their organizations?
I mean, this is a former partner of Ascension. There's not much they can do after the fact. But you can also vet your vendors beforehand. Look and see, are they doing anything to be data compliant? Are they making a big deal about that? Are they talking about that? I mean, but you, in a lot of ways, Brian, you're kind of at the mercy of your third-party vendors. If you're not careful, something like this can happen.
Yeah,
and
we're in a tough spot right now because
right.
the owner was on the private business or whoever. It's on you as part of your business agreement, your contract, to make sure that you're doing this stuff. You're checking your vendors, but they're also, doing the right thing. Now, the state of where most businesses are at right now is they're either sending Excel spreadsheets for these organizations to fill out, right? And quite frankly, cyber insurance isn't any different. Or they're giving you some kind of website to go to answer questions, right? Problem with that is that's all done on the honor system, right? And we're going to see, as we implement this, in my opinion, we're going to see cyber attacks happen. Companies look around and go, well, you said you were doing all these things when you signed the agreement, right? And then companies are going to have to decide whether they want to take legal action on that and sue the company for damages, right? And a lot of times you're going to find yourself in a situation where it's just not worth it to sue the company. You just don't do business with them anymore, right. Or something along those lines. But at the end of the day, where I see this really ending up is governments are going to have to step in and make this all more efficient for businesses to figure out if somebody's actually doing cybersecurity or not. And that's only going to happen through regulations and certification requirements around data security. Essentially, if you're going to have technology in your business, if you're going to store people's data, you're going to be audited to make sure that you do the right stuff. And that's where, if you're going to be in business, you're going to have to expect that and accept that that's going to be the future.
Yeah, because honestly, if you're a company and you need specifically Clio, which is a file transfer software, if you're speaking with their rep and you're asking, tell us that you're safe, right? They're going to look at you. They're going to, say the terminologies. They're going to say rest and encryption. They're going to say everything that they probably are doing, SOC 2 compliant, whatever. Then they're also going to say, hey, we've been in business since 1975, $200 million in revenue. And they're really just going to, I don't want to say down talk you, but we know what we're talking about. All the other Fortune 100 companies are using us. So if they're using us, why can't your small little peon company use us? So it's, again, really in a tight spot because you're trusting them to hold your data. But anybody you integrate your system with that has the client information, you got to think about what exactly are you transferring, and do they need the entire thing? Do they need the entire social security number? Is there a way where instead of maybe giving them their social, you can just maybe give them the customer number, and that way, and then don't put a name to it or something, so that way, even if that they got breached, it's not just so easy that says Jane Smith, this is her address, this is her social, etc.
Yeah, I mean, it's my point is that putting the onus of all of this in each individual business, I mean, we're all doing the same stuff, right? My business has to have somebody evaluating all our vendors and partner security. Randy's business has to have that. Andre's business has to have it. Every business in the complex that my business is in right now should or has to be doing this. That's a huge waste, right? You consolidate that, make companies go get a certification, and then boom, you say basically we don't work with anyone who doesn't have this certification, right? And then businesses don't have to bring people in and hire people to know compliance and make sure that or even do this, right? Because right now it's just a box checking exercise at the end of the day, guys, right? They're just saying they're doing this. There's nobody auditing them on the other side in most cases until there's a cyber event. Usually it's how it is. There's nobody proactively auditing their third parties for the most part. There's some industries or some companies that do it, but it's rare.
That makes me have lots of angst, Brian, even thinking about that.
So it's reality. It's where we're at right now. I mean,
I know.
it's okay. I mean, it's where we're at, and we just have to get better. And it's that simple. Randy, you got a shout out from Jeff. Said thanks for shedding light on this. Great info. Scary to think about how this can affect all of our business. Appreciate the support there, Jeff.
Yep.
So that wraps it up, guys. Does anyone want to talk about M&S anymore? Are we good there, or do you guys want to?
I mean, a lot of stuff going on there with M&S is similar to what we talked about at the co-op at the beginning.
Yep.
But their online, it looks like their online order stuff, they've had to pull that, and a lot of the shelves at the stores are empty. And that is a really creepy feeling to see that. I know a lot of people when MGM Grand, the casino, was down, that was right before that happened, right before a giant conference was out there. I've talked to people that were out there, and they said it's like really creepy, when you get all the screens in the business, have weird messages on them, and you're having to use stairs, or you're filling out a thing with pen and paper, who knows what. But imagine going into your grocery store, and I think you said this at the top of the show, Brian. Imagine going into a grocery store and like entire shelves are empty. That could cause people to panic and can cause people to get really, really angsty. So that's the kind of stuff that they're dealing with right now.
Yeah, plus you're running a risk, right? You have to, whether you don't want to talk about it or whether you don't want to get political or whatever you want to call it, the reality of it is you have geopolitics at play here, right? There's tariffs that are being levied country to country, which is also impacting what's happening on store shelves, right? Mm-hmm. So, sometimes you only need these two things to kind of combine together to make it a real travesty for a particular area of the world, country, or a particular area of a country or a sector. And you have to be aware in this global interconnected economy that we've created in the last 25 years, these are the risks of what we've created.
Yep. And also this is check your cyber insurance policy, because if your business can't have revenue for 3 days, how will that affect you?
Yep. All right, guys. So that's it. That wraps up another episode of Security Squawk. We covered these escalating threats facing retailers and healthcare providers, the disruption of government services by ransomware, We don't know the fallout of that yet. I'm always concerned when police and court records are impacted. The critical importance of strong security practices from supply chains to the server rooms. So remember, no sector is immune, and preparation is your best defense, as Randy talked about. If you found today's discussion valuable, please like, share, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or wherever you're consuming us. Leave us a review to help others find the show. Stay safe out there. We'll see you next week.
Take care.